let's get into the story about Shirley Brickley from the R&B doo-wop group, the Orlons. Now see, the Orlons were a quartet group that consisted of 3 women, Rosetta Hightower, Shirley Brickley, Marlena Davis, and one guy named Stephen Cardwell. Now, how the group formed, first off, they all went to school together in West Philadelphia. Because see, at first, all the girls were in a quintet. They were a 5-member girl group called Little Audrey and the Teenettes. And Shirley Brickley's other 2 sisters named Audrey, who was her youngest sister, and Jean was her oldest sister. They was in the group. But Audrey and Jean ended up leaving the group because, for one, for Audrey, their parents didn't like Audrey being in the group because she was too young to be at them bars and nightclubs singing around a bunch of grown men smoking and drinking. So they made her lead the group. And Jean, the oldest sister, just thought they weren't going to make no money with it. Now, how Stephen Cardwell got in the group, right? At first, he was in an all-male singing group called the Romeos, but he lived 2 doors down from Shirley. And one day, Shirley and the girls were on the porch singing the song Daddy's Home by Shep and the Limelights. You know, every time I hear that song, Daddy's Home, I think about the movie Baby Boy. Melvin was a trip, man. That song was playing in the background when Tyrese walked in the kitchen. Melvin was drinking the Kool-Aid, fixing breakfast. But anyway, you know, they started harmonizing, right? Singing the song Daddy's Home on the porch. And Stephen Cardwell, he heard them. And he just joined in and started singing with them. And they all sounded good together. And that's how they became a group. And how they got the name, the Orlons, Stephen Cardwell said one day he pulled a tag off the back of his sweater and it said Orlon. And that's when they started calling themselves the Orlons. Now, after that, right, a good friend from school named Lenny Berry, who was in the doo-wop group, the Dovelles, got them an audition with their label because they were signed to Cameo Parkway Records. And they was looking for some more talent. And Lenny Berry brought them to the audition, and they heard them, and they signed them to the label. Now, the first hit song that they was actually on was actually singing background for Dee Dee Sharp's song called Mashed Potato Time, which hit #1 on the Cashbox Top 100 and Billboard R&B charts, and it hit #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in 1962. They also sung background on her other hit, Gravy, for My Mashed Potatoes, which hit #9 on the charts. Now, Stephen Cardwell said he was mad at the label because he felt those songs should have went to them. And he wasn't on the background singing. He refused to do the background. He said he told the girls don't sing on it, but they did it anyway, and they didn't even get credit for singing background on those songs. He said they only received like $18.50. Wow. Now, that same year, they finally released their own material and they put out some top 10 hits that sold millions of copies. They sold a lot of records. The song The Wawatusi, which hit #2 on the US pop charts and #5 on a US R&B chart in 1962. And that song had everybody doing the Watusi dance. It became a very popular dance craze for the teens at the time. Now, the other song they had called Don't Hang Up hit #4 on the Billboard pop chart and hit #3 on the R&B chart. Now, a lot of people might remember that song from the Dennis the Menace movie. Now, another song they had called South Street hit #3 on the US pop chart and #4 on the US R&B chart in 1963. Now, after the success of all those songs, right, the following year in 1964, the group broke up and Marlena Davis left the group first and got married, and then Stephen Cardwell left the group after Shirley and Rosetta wanted him out the group. So he left and started producing some other groups. And that's when Shirley and Rosetta put 2 new girls in the group, which was her sister Audrey who had came back, but it didn't last, and everybody just went their separate ways. And Rosetta Hightower got married and continued doing background for artists like Joe Cocker and Muddy Waters, and she had a successful solo career over there in the UK. But on October 13th, 1977, Shirley Brickley was found murdered in her home. Now, the story goes, they say Shirley's daughter and her niece had tried to get into the house and the door was locked. So they went to their grandmother's house, Shirley's mother, who lived right across the street, to get the key, because she kept a spare key over there just in case, I guess for emergency, because Shirley used to work late nights and sleep all day. So her daughter went back and opened the door and found her on the living room floor and tried to wake her up, but she never responded. And that's when she ran back to her grandmother's house and told her that her mom wouldn't wake up. So that's when she went over there and tried to wake her up. And her first thought was Shirley done had a stroke, because she knew she had high blood pressure. So she went and got another neighbor to check her out. And when they grabbed her hand, when they grabbed Shirley's hand, it was ice cold and the color blue. And that's when they saw that she had been shot in the right side of her temple. And they knew she was dead. Man, that's sad, man. Now, police investigated, but they never had a suspect. They just said an intruder just killed her. And the sad part is, for years, and to this day, nobody knows what happened to her. It's just a cold case file, an unsolved case. And what's crazy, man, Stephen Cardwell said he was working for the Philadelphia police force at the time, and he had ran into Shirley just 2 days before. And they had talked about putting the group back together. Because, see, Shirley was supposed to be leaving the following month to go to London, because Rosetta Hightower had offered her a job to work with her. And Stephen Cardwell also said that Shirley's murder is just a cold case and just one of those things you just want to leave alone. But if somebody really want to dig into it, they probably could find out what happened to her. Man, that's sad, man. I know Shirley's parents said at that time they didn't like the friends that she was hanging around with. And they say Shirley was working at a lot of bars at that time. She was a barmaid, and she worked long hours, and everybody knew her. And you know, everybody loved her too, though. So it's just a cold case, man. 1977. Nobody knows what happened all that time. Sad, man. She was only 32 years old, man. Rest in peace to her, man. And y'all stay tuned for more stories, man. Fate on the Rise. And make sure y'all check out the Patreon for more exclusive content. Y'all want to see some more stuff and everything. I got some more stories coming, y'all.